Sonic as a character is one that is loved by the community. Throughout all interpretations of Sonic, whether it be the games, the shows, the movies, and especially the comics, it is universally known that Sonic is a fantastic character. He definitely didn't have much going on for him for the longest time in the games, but it's not like there's anything new with Sonic characters nowadays. However, since Sonic Frontiers, and especially Sonic 2, he has become a prominent figure to adore amongst the community. And now, I think it's time for the same to be said for Shadow the Hedgehog.
My God. Project Shadow.
This reveal is still one of the biggest audience reactions I've experienced in theaters. Yes, even up there with Captain America donning Mjolnir, the reveal of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield in No Way Home, and yes, even as big than the first fuck in the MCU. And who can blame them? Shadow is a fantastic character that has made an impact on the franchise since its appearance in Sonic Adventure 2. Sonic Adventure 2 is a great game for many reasons, but Shadow is an absolute showstopper in this regard, because he did something that was hardly ever heard of back in 2001. Back then, children media always stayed within their boundaries. Movies, games, and all that usually played it safe. This is not the case for Sonic Adventure 2. Sonic Adventure was a good stepping stone from this, but Shadow's character did the impossible for its time. It tested the maturity of its audience. It tried to challenge how willing children understood these deep, complex emotions behind death, identity, and purpose. Shadow's entire character is built from a tragedy and learning how you're ever supposed to come back from it, and if that tragedy should define who you are, finding your purpose without the people who gave you a purpose. But more importantly, Shadow expressed the one thing that even today is a challenge to learn: forgiveness. The process of learning to forgive and move on and to become even better than the people who have hurt Shadow so much. Humanity took everything away from Shadow, so he found that his only solution was to do the same. However, throughout the game, he realizes that in seeking revenge, he is no better than the humans that killed Maria. That in order to move on from his pain and fear, he needs to give Earth the chance that humanity never gave Shadow. The chance humanity never gave Gerald. Despite how difficult it was, Shadow gave humans a chance by paying the ultimate price, giving his life away to a world that he never even saw for himself.
Maria, this is what you wanted, right? This is my promise I made to you.
There was so much to Shadow's character that breaks boundaries for children media. This was a push Sonic as a franchise needed to explore deeper and mature stories. And without Shadow, Sonic, along with many other children media, wouldn't take the leaps of faith that they have today. Now, after Shadow's death, and knowing that he would return in future games, you really had to sit and think,
now what?
What really is there left for Shadow as a character? He had this fantastic character arc to the point where his character felt complete in a sense. So it really was mind-boggling what direction they would take with his character afterwards. And honestly, I don't think that this is a question Sega has answered since Sonic Adventure 2. Don't get me wrong, he's had more importance to a narrative far longer than Silver. But his character has been rather confusing. And this all stems from before I continue, full disclosure, I haven't played this game. I've watched all the cutscenes and gameplay over the years, and judging by what I've seen, I don't think I ever need to play this game.
Damn, they got away!
Damn, we've been detected.
Where's that damn fourth Chaos Emerald? With the power of these emeralds,
I'm going to destroy this damn planet.
Shadow the Hedgehog's whole plot is Shadow discovering his identity and finding out his purpose in the world. Similar to SA2, but instead of finding out what Maria would have wanted, it's instead focused on what Shadow wants now. It's a nice continuing narrative, and the groundwork was laid for it to be a fantastic story. In theory. The thing that hurts the story of this game significantly is the idea behind the branching stories. I'm cutting the list here to keep the video going, not because it stops. You could choose to be good, join Sonic friends, and learn more about who Shadow was, and eventually learn that he is a hero. Or you could just throw morality out the window and want to control the entire world with an iron fist. The morality system in this game is so narratively broken because there's no consistency behind the storytelling. What makes it especially worse is that none of your choices ever really mattered because there's a final story where Shadow learns that he is in fact a true Shadow and fell more in line with the true hero path. Thanks for wasting over 30 plus hours of gameplay, Sega. This lack of real direction for Shadow's character in this game parallels frighteningly well with how he's treated in future games. He feels like a very stagnant character, and when he actually is given the spotlight in the narrative, there's virtually nothing noteworthy to make of him. I'm not saying that he needs to be given this huge character arc that he had in SA2, but I would have at least enjoyed more of a personality from him. Because much like Sonic, Shadow has a bit of an attitude. He does things without needing nor wanting others' advice, but always has good intentions. And at the end of the day, he is a hero. A lot less conventional than Sonic, but he is always determined to rise to the occasion. The problem is that we never see any of this. His character definitely isn't assassinated like Silver, it's more so the fact that he's underused. His character never goes far outside the dark, brooding character that keeps repeating the memory loss storyline. And when that idea got old, he got subjugated to sitting in the back until time to do like one or two things before disappearing from the narrative entirely. And to me, that feels like an absolute tragedy for his character. Ironically enough, Shadow's character is the most utilized in Sonic 06 since Adventure 2. He has such a defining personality in this game than most others nowadays. A lot of this is helped with Mephiles being Shadow's own personal villain, attempting to turn him over to join his side and take over the world. Essentially what Black Doom wanted to do with Shadow, only that this dynamic is much more effective because of how consistent Shadow's motives are. Shadow is determined to fight for himself and his friends. There's genuine sadness coming from him in learning that one of his friends would turn on him in the future. His character actually feels like a natural progression from SA2, something that simply doesn't exist in future games really. There's a lack of payoff when it comes to Shadow's growth after Sonic Adventure 2. But in 06, we clearly see how far he's come. Mephiles has proven the world turns against him despite everything he's done to protect it. That in spite of everything he's done, eventually they will come to hate him. However, Shadow decides that he could kill us. That even if the world turns against him, he's willing to keep fighting for what is right. To be a hero. For Maria, but most importantly, for himself.
It's futile. The world will betray you. Why fight at all? Why risk your life for those who will persecute you later?
If the world chooses to become my enemy, I will fight like I always have.
It feels like the more I actually talk about Sonic 06, the less I actually find wrong about the game. I wonder if this is like leading up to anything. Anyways, even outside of this, his personality proves just how great of a dynamic he and Sonic have. A lot of media likes to show Shadow as someone who feels above Sonic and thinks that he isn't needed for things, and I feel like that's stretching a bit far from what Shadow's character actually is. He's independent for sure and does things on his own accord, but when it comes down to it, he respects Sonic's strength. In the final story, when Silver wants to destroy Solora, Shadow outright proves that they cannot do this without Sonic, and I appreciate that.
Certainly, it might have been possible if he was still alive.
Despite how edgy and a lone wolf Shadow has been made out to be, he has respect. He knows his weaknesses and the strength of his allies. Contrary to some beliefs, Shadow fights alongside others and really goes off on his own if he knows it's a fight he can win. Shadow is a leader, a fighter, and a hero. Something that is pushed aside in the games because he simply doesn't have some big character arc or dilemma that he needs to go through. But to me, I don't think he really needs any of that. You can have all these things about Shadow in a game and not have him need to go through some form of growth. He can just be a vital companion. There's plenty of opportunities to use his traits to progress the narrative of the games without him having to go through another existential crisis. He doesn't have to be a constant tragedy that feels like he needs some form of change in his life. His arc of understanding his identity and his purpose may be complete, but that doesn't mean he should be used as some form of cameo that does one cool thing before he's never used for the rest of his respective games. Forces could have been great for Shadow to step up and take some leadership in Sonic's absence. As much as I do like the idea behind Knuckles being a leader, it doesn't necessarily work in this regard. Instead, he wins a fight against the main villain of the game, which is never established ever again, beats up a Shadow clone, and then disappears from the rest of the narrative. What I'm getting at here is that it feels like Sega had a really good idea for Shadow's character, but didn't think about this character long term. Now it feels like he only exists because he's so well loved by the fans instead of actually thinking about what he could do to help Sonic and friends. I'm at least glad that Sonic Prime doesn't do this and Shadow actually gets to show off his character more. He becomes a voice of reason to Sonic and tries to tell him off about how arrogant and selfish he's been. That, and I appreciate his determination to bring back the world he's lost thanks to Sonic. I don't know what they're going to do with him in Season 2, but I'm confident that we'll get a chance to see Shadow for the great and promising character he's always been. Not every character needs an arc for every appearance they're in, and not every character needs to. And having Shadow fight alongside everyone else, being the voice of reason, utilizing everybody's strengths and weaknesses, allows for him to naturally aid the characters and the story being given. Shadow is such an important character to me, along with many other fans. And to see him hardly ever being more than a cameo or a face to gasp in feels like a huge misuse of the character. I am longing for Shadow to do something in the games, and hopefully the third Sonic movie can remind everyone that Shadow is more than just a tragedy. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm not really sure how to feel about this video, honestly. I felt like I had a lot less to say about Shadow than Silver, but I think that's just because of how little of an appearance Shadow has had since 2006. But you really did seem to enjoy the Silver video, so hopefully you enjoyed this too. Regardless, if you enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe and hit that little notification button so you're notified of future content releases. You can also become a true Animaniac for up to $6 a month to get special access to videos, scripts, a Patreon exclusive Discord, along with a bunch of neat benefits. I'm your favorite Vegetable Cowboy, signing off.